Hello, I'm Philip and I'm one of the facilitators and creator of Man Club, which is a male support group. And this is my friend Richard.
Hi, I'm Richard. Like Phil says, I'm a facilitator of Man Club. We're here today we're behind supporting Guernsey Mind Stop Male Suicide campaign.
Man Club it really started with two people. I'm a massage therapist, and over the years I've had a number of clients, you get to know them over time, and particularly with a couple of guys, they felt it was a safe place to be able to express how they were feeling about certain subjects and certain issues that were going on in their life at the time. And one particular client basically was just coming to see me after I'd finished on quite a regular basis, and he was going through a pretty tough period at the time, and we sort of helped each other really, because I could relate to a lot of the things he was saying, and that went on for around about 6 weeks, and at the end of that he was in a much better place, and what we sort of came to a conclusion was what we did between us was really quite special, and perhaps maybe we could do something on a larger scale, and that's where Man Club kind of was invented. That's where it came from, and it grew pretty much organically. It started off with just myself and one chap meeting in a car park, and it's gone from there. And of course now we're on board with Guernsey Mind. Richard's come along, and as well as that, plenty of other guys, and it's grown, and here we are, I guess, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. From Phil, as he said, kicked everything off, and it started. Sounds dodgy meeting in a car park at Bordeaux. We met in a car park at St. Peter's as well, haven't we?
Yeah, we did actually.
And now, thanks to Guernsey Mind, we don't have to meet in car parks anymore.
Yes, right. We used to meet basically at people's houses and sort of do the rounds that way. And, and now, of course, we've got the premises with Guernsey Mind, which it's great, obviously, to have that space and the parking and everything. So
this makes it more.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I came along after I'd been off island, and I came along and I was looking to actively help guys, be in some ways, be able to express themselves and be able to talk out and stuff like that. It was an idea I had in my head, and then I came back and came across what Phil had started up, and that's where I kind of got involved, because I had that drive to help guys be more open, or be able to speak out, or be able to express some stuff that was going on. I didn't have a very clear picture of what I wanted, but then I came across what Phil was doing, so we kind of linked up. And we hooked up, and it has gone from strength to strength. I think one of the things we joke about the whole car park thing, because it actually was in the car park at Bordeaux, but we did quickly want to move on, because it was the whole. We want to make it as easy as possible for guys to have access to a kind of group like this where they can go and talk, and we did feel that. Even that barrier of it being meeting up in a car park, if someone was a little bit nervous or didn't really know anybody, is a barrier to actually going along. So we wanted, we did quite quickly start looking for a place to have a venue that people knew about, so there wasn't that access.
Yeah.
That one stage of I might be a bit shy or a bit not very confident. We wanted it to be really easy to get into.
Just about reducing those barriers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about reducing
a guy that might, for the first time, want to just come and have a chat. I think we should also say as well, just it's largely it's just a group of guys, blokes, come together in a safe environment.
Yeah.
It's completely confidential. We've got sort of some guidelines, in terms of non-judgmental is the key.
Really important thing for us.
Yeah, and everyone has an opportunity to talk and to express their truth or whatever they're going through, or whatever they want to say at all, and that's, you're not obliged to do that. It's optional. We have like a stone that you can pick up, and when you hold that stone, you're the only guy there that can talk, and I mean, from my own experience, I found that hugely powerful, because you know you're never going to get interrupted. No one's going to, battle against you if you're up against something in your everyday life. It's off your chest. And then you put that stone down, and members of the group might have something to say, or an idea for you, a book to read possibly, that type of thing. And largely as well, it can be a gateway, can't it? Because I mean, if it's a case where you're like, I could do with some more help here, we might be able to say, look, we know so and so. What have you thought about this? Have you thought about that?
Other professional help or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. And I think that's the beauty, because we are just a group of guys. We're not such a sort of a professional service. We're not like a counsellors or anything like that. We're just a group of chaps, everyday guys, and I mean, we all like to go down the pub and have a beer and everything, and just general sort of blokes, and you find, I think, in that environment, when do you ever get to talk about stuff that's a bit more personal? It's normally about Lionel Messi, or football or something.
There is that, isn't there? I think there's that underlying, because we kind of support, and it quite often, especially when there's new people, quite often one of us will kick off, saying something that's going on, and about normally you, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I normally get things started. Yeah, that's right. Just to get it moving.
Just to get rolling.
That's right.
Pick up the stone. But we just it's normally one of us that kind of speaks up, because if there's new people there, then it's it does happen when new people come along and they grab up the stone and start chatting away. But usually people sometimes maybe even one or two sessions. And I know a couple of guys, and I know one guy in particular who definitely won't mind me saying, but he says himself that he the first time he came, he didn't say anything, and now we can't shut him up.
Right.
But it's just to kind of show the way, to show people that it's okay to be open, it's okay to be vulnerable, and as a guide, it's okay to express your feelings, and no one's gonna lie. We have people there expressing their feelings, laughing, crying. It's not always all about pain. Sometimes it's about different subjects, confidence, and all kinds of things. It doesn't it's not necessarily that people. But we're just kind of there. Like Phil said, we don't offer. It's not counselling service, but we want to get the message out there to guys that it's okay to be a mess. It's not. It's not a problem. It is a problem. I mean, it's a problem to not be able to speak about it, and that's purely what we're behind. Is about speaking about it, because. I mean, if we roll into the conversation about what we're talking about, this campaign, the Stop Male Suicide campaign. We obviously can't be specific, but we both know that this male suicide topic has come up frequently in some of our talks, or some of the people in some of our meetings.
Well, I think the stats are pretty alarming, aren't they? Was it between age 20 to 50 of men are dying of suicide than heart disease? You think about that for a moment. That is alarming. And I think with male suicide, we've spoken about it at a couple of man club sessions, and when the subject came up, it really did ignite a lot of stuff that came out. And I think the one thing we've noticed is that a lot of the guys that have been to those places as such, if they had just that opportunity, just that one chance to be able to just talk about what they were going through, such as what Man Club can provide, it could have been a massive help. It's just that initial place, that safe space, just to say,
I think so. And what we've heard over and over again about on the subject of suicide, when we talk about when that's come up in some of our meetings, there's one overriding, because I've asked myself, different guys, what would be the thing that you would say, having been to that pretty dark place? And there's guys with stories that they're just toe curling the stuff that comes out, in emotionally, in pain, and the things that go on in people's lives that we don't, everyday people you will see walking down the street are going through such huge stuff. But there's one thing that we usually ask them, like, what would you say out of all of this stuff that's happened to you, what would you say? What would be the advice? And it's always one thing, and it's just talk to someone, and that's it. You know, and you think to yourself, my God, like this guy's done this, and this happened, and that's happened, and that's happened, and now everything, with all the trauma that's happened to him in his life, or these guys in their life, the one thing they say is, it would have been changed by talking to someone. And that's kind of the overriding outcome of what people say is talk to someone in any situations. And I think we're trying to provide a space where guys can do it, but also through this Stop Male Suicide campaign, getting involved with this, just to get the message out there in general that talking to someone is okay, and there are people that are out there willing to listen. I mean, I could say it to myself as a guy, you know, the thought for me going from feeling not 100% to going into a clinical, guys won't even go to a doctor, you know, they let alone go for a guy. You know, it's not right. No, I'm not saying this is right, but for a guy to take it one stage further and to go to some clinical help, it's quite a big step for a guy. And then, you know, the opposite of that is just sitting at home and, you know, we kind of guys are brought up to, again, this is not everybody, and it's not a blanket statement, but brought up to endure, to keep everything inside, to endure the pain, to keep your emotions locked up. But, you know, as a human being, it doesn't work. It pops. Sometimes it pops. And we can provide that environment where we just talk to people, and if they need to be kind of referred on, I think you said already, we can give them a bit of backup. Well, I think that's why we kick the proceedings off. That's where I was going with that. We start proceedings off, and then people start to talk it out.
What we've also found as well is anyone, you know, it's open, and, you know, if you're coming to perhaps the island for the first time, or you're new to the community, and you're a chap, and, you know, you don't have anyone to speak to either, you know, it's really powerful. You know, I know when I've gone through some pretty, you know, darker periods in my life as well, it's like, I've always had a couple of mates, particularly very close mates, you know, friendships that have been 25 years plus, that I can speak quite personally to, and that's helped. But, you know, it's always, if you don't have a friend there, you know, if there's no one you can speak to, then, you know, who do you talk to? So we're trying to, I guess, give that environment, that space for you know, just genuine guys, really, aren't we?
I think so. And the other thing that we've heard as well on a few occasions is that men do talk, where they go and they talk superficially. They're good, like me and my mates yesterday, into the Cock and Bull, and, you know, watch the rugby and have a few pints, and it's all a good laugh. But men tend not to get you. I know you've got mates that you talk to, and that's fantastic, and I could as well if I wanted to. Yeah. But in general, men don't talk. They do go to the pub and they do have a few drinks. They might talk about the football, or football or the rugby, but they don't really get very deep until maybe they get really drunk.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and that's just, again, that's not the format, because you know, it's what said is not, you know, potentially, I'm not saying it's not true, but it's like over emotional. You might forget about the next day. And I've kind of been in that situation before, where it's, when you sober up, if you like, someone's mentioned something, it's hard to go back to it. Because people are like, oh, you know, I don't want to talk about that. It's just because I was drunk or whatever. And I think being in this environment where you can just speak out, and we're all sitting around, we just have tea and coffee and
that's what's
orange quarters at half time.
That's right. Yeah. Oh yeah, we just have a cup of tea and as well, don't we? And a bit of a break.
I've been horrified. Really.
Yeah, I would say there's been different. It's come from all different areas, hasn't it? But yeah, some stuff, you know, keeping that completely confidential, of course, has just humbled me, I think, as well.
It makes you think, well, I've got a good life.
And it makes you such a better listener, you know. That's what I found. I could sit there and listen and just comprehend stuff. And I think there was a couple of times where it's happened where, you know, there's been a few tears and things, but there's also kind of been like laughter mixed in, and some, I don't know how the humour gets in there, but somehow it does.
In the dark place.
It's incredible. Yeah, our blokes can still just, you know, we can still crack a bit of a joke, even, you know, in the darkest subjects. And I think that's such a healing thing to have as well, you know. That's come out.
What has come out quite a lot is when people with guys that are going through stuff, whatever it may be, their own personal thing, it's when they're expressing, because it's a place of non-judgment. I think often if you're going through something, you're usually fighting something. You know, yourself, your confidence. It could be something related to family, friends, whatever. And you're usually, from what I've picked up, it's usually about you're fighting something, fighting the system or this or that or the other, and you're kind of, we've heard the kind of phrase in battle quite a lot. And I think that we don't, there's just not that outlet to speak freely and not be judged. And I know that, and I know I can say this because I spoke to the chap about it, but one guy I saw, and he said we just felt like we were cleansed, just being able to talk about it without someone jumping down their throat, or without it being a battle, or without it being, and it's that really hit home for me. And some guys have been through some real shocking stuff, but to talk about it is just cleansing, getting out and not having judgment. But yeah, we've come across some stuff that you have a few moments where you think, whew.
That's right. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? There's not always, some stuff comes up and there's not always like a clear-cut solution. You can't, you don't turn around and say, right, go off and do this. It's, it's just a case of, we've just said, you've got a lot of anger held there, or, we understand that, and that's it, really. And just, I think as well, we try and find as much sort of positives as you can out of things, and half the time, actually, it's just saying, you've been brave enough to talk about this for a start, and quite often, I mean, it's just crazy the amount of times that the common themes, come up, and so many of us are like, I mean, there's a couple of times where I've sat there and been like, every word he's saying I get, and I can't wait for my turn in a weird way to sort of say, I totally get you, mate, I understand what you're on about. I felt exactly the same. I know where you are, because guys, when you're going through something, you feel alone, and to suddenly have another bloke that's been through feeling exactly the same way, that's marvellous. And I think that builds on what guys have with that natural camaraderie and it's like when you're in a team of football or whatever it might be. You could be, building a website together, or playing in a football team, or at work, or all different ways. I think guys have that unique kind of bonding that happens, and I think that's occurred a lot, in the sessions.
It just brings something else to mind as well when you're saying that kind of bonding. And that one thing that had come up a couple of times, and when someone has talked about suicide to the point of attempting it, and been open about it, and this just proves how important stuff like this is, stuff like we're doing, the stuff and the Stop Male Suicide campaign, that we've heard people say when they've been open about it in the public, or I have attempted this or that, then they get contacted by other guys.
Yeah, that's right. Just
from out of the blue. Some people they know, some people they don't. The infamous Facebook has got real, in a couple of cases has a real massive impact. And we've heard of stories that as soon as the guys come out about it, shall we say, about their problems, that guys have messaged them directly and say, I've been there. And we've heard stories that it's multiple people that contacted them that until then were sitting on their own and enduring their own kind of internal pain. It's powerful. This kind of campaign is powerful. I think we would have. There's in some way we're not going to know, but there will be points where I'm sure now and in the future where guys, maybe if they'd not come and spoken or seen a campaign like this, would have. It will save lives. Is what I'm trying to say.
We said from the start, didn't we? If it just saved one life, or if it just helped one bloke,
help one person, not necessarily just help them.
That's it. Then that was, then that's success.
That's
it's
back up and go home.
Yeah, not quite. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I know that with your work, you come into contact with a lot of guys, and that's how you get the message of through massaging them. You get the message out. Yeah, that's how it initially started.
I think because once someone's on a couch, it's and you're working on them, you know, little bits come out, you know, and they might sort of say to you, well, you know, I'm going through this, or IOG went through that, and you know, we talked about that last time, and so on, and it just starts to flow. And I think because you're helping them relax more, again, it starts to come out. And it's when anyone comes to see me, you know, that space, my room is confidential, it's quiet, it's, you know, it's that space again. And that's, I pretty much always mention about Man Club to men and women, because, you know, quite often it's, you know, husband's going through a bad time, or boyfriend or brother, whatever it might be. And it's much the same with you, isn't it, with coaching?
When it's noticeable in my work with life coaching that it's reflective of men and women, that women are more open to it. I do see men and women. I really would want to see a lot more guys, because I think a lot more guys would benefit from it.
Yeah.
And the guys, I've spoken to a couple of guys last week, and I think they're getting coaching, but at the same time, I think they would benefit from, because of the things I hear coming up, are some of the things that come up in the meeting. So it's good for me. It's really good for me as a part of my business to be able to offer my coaching services, but to additionally say, well, why don't you come along to Man Club as well, because it's kind of extra support, and then these guys then see other guys that are in the same situation. I think that is quite a big thing, is isolation for guys and thinking it's just them. But I mean, other than that, we get people to come to Man Club. What's mainly people to come through to Man Club through our Facebook page.
Yeah,
because that's quite confidential, and people can message us and directly, and no one else sees it.
Yeah,
really. So that's when we get people coming through.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's what I mean. It varies on size, doesn't it, each time? But it's anything up to around about 10 guys, you know. And I mean, when I first started, especially, it was sort of 2 or 3. I think it was probably actually about 60. Yeah, one, the first one. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but yeah, about 6 to 8, which is a good number. We've always said if it increases, then we'll split into 2 groups on the night.
We'll split. That's why now we work Mind. And now, obviously, this is a lot of promotion. Normally, we only promote ourselves through Facebook, or just put a message out, and then we share it and things like that. But it is getting bigger. Now we've got the space of Mind. We've had discussions already about having to split into 2 groups, because we don't want people to not have the opportunity to speak if they want to.
That's right.
And something really interesting, and I'm not going to say his name, but even though he wouldn't mind if I did, one of the guys through coming to the meetings we've already asked about him being a facilitator. And he's somebody. There's 2 guys. One guy that said that he had the thought about trying to open up a club like this back 40 years ago, didn't he?
Yeah, that was interesting.
And then this other guy who we think is probably going to be we said he will be a facilitator at the meetings, has said he had the idea of starting a group like this, but both of these guys just didn't. It just didn't fall right for them. So I think we think that we're probably the only close to one of the first and only groups. We don't want to claim it, because that's like ego, and we don't really care.
That's right. Yeah,
but,
exactly. Yeah,
you know, it doesn't matter.
I think if there are any other groups out there that are unknown, then
I know there's Men's Shed, isn't there, which is
that's
a
true.
Great thing as well, but slightly different, you know. But I think that's
it's a different angle, I think, but it's all the same idea. Age
Well,
range is pretty varied, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
close
we
to
are
70 is 70 or around 70 is the upper limit.
and in the early 20s, you know. But again,
early 20s,
anyone
and everywhere in between.
You know, any chap can come along.
But we've got like 3 of us, me and because one of our other Daniel White, our other
guys involved in it. Well, Dan's involved as well, and he's in his 20s.
Yeah.
So we've got ourselves 20s, 30s, and 40s involved. So it kind of we got a good spread ourselves. But any early 20s to 70s.
Yeah, it's quite amazing to have that. You know, that spread as well, and I do kind of like that, the fact that you can, especially sort of the older guys, you get a bit of nuggets of wisdom, don't you? I enjoy that part of it especially, but it's just personal, I guess. I think as well, it's also important to mention that, you know, there's no money involved. It's free. You know, it's always been about that, and I guess, you know, again, because we don't want that to ever be a barrier, and I think that's always been the whole ethos of Man Club is to reduce as many barriers as possible.
I think so. We're thinking in the future as well. I mean, we discussed doing online meetings, so people can check in, you know, just literally through a link, not even necessarily have their camera on if they don't want. So it's that ease of access.
Yeah.
So not getting out of your house, having to go meet with some strangers, you know, not people, because it's not all about. Sometimes it's about confidence for guys, you know. It's not always about. The problems are very different. So we're thinking maybe in the future we'll do possibly online meetings as well, so people can just check in and say,
Sort of
I'm
website,
here, and you know, not even show their face really, listen in and talk or send in questions or whatever. But that's how. Yeah, I think that's for the future. But
we got a male retreat type thing coming up in the summer as well, which I think is going to be
interesting.
Yeah, it should be fun. It's a little camping retreat down at Larive's lake, which is stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous. And we're going to do a bit of fishing. Kevin McDonald has said he's going to come down and will teach us how to fish. And,
survival skills.
Yeah, and survival skills, that's right.
Some
yeah.
primal screaming or something.
Yeah, that's right. A bit of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there's loads of projects to be done down there as well. And again, just hopefully it'll form a bit more, you know, bonds, you know, friendship and you know.
The support, you know, we've got people
Support.
that are meeting other guys that connect and can
Yeah.
support each other. So if
you know, there's a friendship struck up through Man Club that someone's for guys feeling emotional in a dark place, suicide or whatever, it might not even be one of us they're connecting or talking to. It might connect with somebody else they've met in a group or whatever, and that's, you know,
the technological sort of age we're in now.
yeah,
you know,
easy to
actually,
get hold of people, isn't it?
Yeah, to get out and get outside and do a bit of camping and stuff, and again, I think with Man Club, just that face-to-face interaction and you know, that being with people, it's, you know, it's so powerful now.
I think with that as well, I only just thought of this now, but I think the longer time together, that bonding grows deeper, and then it's likely over a longer period of time that more stuff will come out, you know.
Yeah.
People are going to end up, when you've got that familiarity and you've got the trust and confidence, and
Definitely.
people will start, I think over the weekend people might start being a bit more open, you know, bringing stuff out and being more open, hopefully, anyway.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Could be traumatic, you never know.
Who knows what'll happen. Yeah.